What's up, Rashad? We hear you. Hey, we're adjusting to this COVID life too, man. We would have you in the studio right here if it was normal. But we appreciate you having on.
Of course, man. I just went into the gym, man. Literally just got mad. I went into the gym to try to sign up for a membership because I need somebody to push me. I need some punishment in the gym. And I go into the gym and they're like, you got to work out with a mask on. I'm like, it's cool. I'm on shit. Nah.
I feel like I'm gonna pass out if I work out with a mask.
I'm not doing that shit. I caught it once already. If I catch it again, I'm just gonna catch it again. I'm gonna beat it again. Here's what it is.
Agreed. How did you feel? How did you feel after you got it?
To be honest with you, I just knew I had it. It was something different in my body that I had never felt before. So it's hard to describe. It's not like the flu, not like a cold. I had colds and flus worse than that when I'm feeling sick, but it's like some shit just entered your body that's not supposed to be there and it's trying to find a home somewhere. It's hard to really describe, but you feel the difference, and you feel like if you're not healthy, you can see how it can take some people out if you're not healthy. I just fought it, stayed in the house for 3 weeks, and I was fine. There was nothing the doctor could do. Nothing the hospital could do. I just took all the vitamins and everything they say you're supposed to do, and I just tried whatever, and it worked.
There you go, man. If you're healthy and you're working out and you're taking your vitamins, you should be good.
Yeah, you just got to stay away from people, though. Like, if you get it, you definitely got to be disciplined enough to stay away from people because everybody won't be as lucky as you. You know what I mean? So you got to stay isolated when it comes to that.
Yeah, my co-host right here, Zach in London, he got exposed to it, and he had to spend 2 weeks in his room.
I'm in the most affected area in England. My housemate has it. I got tested negative, so who knows what's going on. It's crazy.
And all we can do is just try to do the best we can, and that's it.
Rashad, where are you at right now?
I'm in L.A.
In L.A., damn, I'm right here on Santa Monica and Gower, so if you come back on the show, we got to have you come by the studio, man.
Oh, get out of here, man. For real? You right there.
I'm right there. I know you used to work out at the great Fortune Gym. I saw you working out there once in a while. Am I right?
Oh, yeah. Wild Card. Wild Card was my home. Justin was my old strength coach, man. Justin was Freddie's assistant strength coach, so been around Justin forever. So, yeah, like you right there. You on Gower. You literally right around the corner.
Right around the corner, man. Zach may not know this, but I used to work out and train at the Fortune Gym. Never went to Wild Card, but I trained with Justin's old gym on Sunset and Curson next to that 7-Eleven right there all the time.
I used to go there.
My trainer is the late, great Maca Foley. Rest in peace to that guy. That guy's a legend.
Hey, listen, man, I was getting ready to tell you, I wasn't trying to cut you off. I used to go there every day to go see Maca, man, to go play cards. Like, we got stuff on the internet. I wouldn't go on Fortune's Gym for about – Justin would call me and ask me to come by. I wouldn't go for over a year after Maca died, man. That was my man. I would go there literally and play cards. They got – at least Techback got stuff on the internet with me and Maca. Just in there talking shit, playing cards. I go sit by that guy all the time, man. We just talk and shoot the shit every day. I miss him.
Yeah, Zach, this guy was a legend. Amazing guy to be around. Heck of a boxing coach. Just a good personality. Always had the beanie on, and just
tell you stories every day. He had a story for you every day. It's like you felt like you lived through all these times, all these decades when he got done talking to you. Like, he would tell you everything. I'm talking about from his run-ins, being a muscle with the mob, to being in the military. Just you name it, he would tell you everything, and he was just a straight shooter.
There it is, Matt. Maca Foley in a nutshell right there.
Yeah, I miss him, man.
Good guy. But you started out as a boxer. Now everyone knows you as the MMA trainer in the world. But you started out as a boxer, 8 years old, Cincinnati, Ohio, home to AB, but also home to Mr. Rashad Holloway. Tell us how your journey started, if you don't mind. You boxed up for a very long time. You started with the Sweet Science.
Yeah, man. I'm just a normal kid in a Midwest city, just a Midwest city. Like, I don't know if you know much about Cincinnati, but we big on boxing. Like Cincinnati, Detroit, all over Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, Steubenville, Youngstown. You got to think Ray Boom Boom Mancini's from there. Ezra Charles is from my city. Aaron Pryor's from my city.
There you go. That's what I was trying to think of from the Aaron Pryor.
Yeah, like I grew up watching these guys my whole life. You know what I mean? So it's like, for me, like, boxing is just in our blood. We had a boxing gym in every project in housing development. Like, boxing is more of an inner city sport. So Cincinnati was a rough city growing up. So it was what it was. It's just a way of life at home. You go to a street corner back in the day when we used to hang on corners, you see 50 guys guaranteed. At least 15 of them used to box. I guarantee at least 2 of them were national champions. It's just something we did.
Yeah, you know, if you talk to the late great Roger Mayweather, he says the Midwest, the best boxers are from the Midwest. I mean, it's a breeding ground for fighters.
Hands down. Emmanuel Stewart told us, I'll never forget. Emmanuel Stewart said some of the best fighters he ever saw in his life came out of Cincinnati. But I think the whole Midwest is a whole. But the only crazy part about it is some of the most talented fighters you all never got to see. We never most of them are rough environment. A lot of them just never made it out.
Yeah, see, I hear that all the time. The best fighters are the ones. The best fighters are the ones you never see on the screen. They're in the gyms, or they get into trouble, or they end up dead or in prison.
That sounds about right. Sounds about right. I can't lie, especially in my city.
But you never wanted to be you wanted to be a pro fighter for a long time, right? And you never wanted to coach. According to my mate Zach, you didn't want to accept retirement.
It was hard for me, man.
Yeah.
I was one of them guys. I was a big underachiever. I was always talented. I was always kind of broke my heart. I was in Olympic trials. I turned pro. My first contract, it just didn't pan out well. The business side, I saw how dirty it was. My second contract didn't pan out well. And after that, it was just kind of like I just boxed because it was all I knew. You know what I mean? Like as a pro, like it was all I knew. It was the only way I knew to make a living. And also, it was just something I was just good at. You know what I mean? And I loved the sport, but I hated the business of it. So my hunger for boxing wasn't really there. I just did enough to get by. You know what I mean? And it's like towards the end of my career, when I finally started to take it serious and really had some sit-downs, and Freddie would talk to me like, listen, man, you're more talented than these guys. It's up to you. You still got a shot. You can go out and be a world champion. Like, get off your ass, stop playing, just focus. In the end, I finally focused. I swear I did. And then when I did, last fight, I tore my shoulder on Showtime. Never forget it. But I feel like it was God's plan. You know what I mean? Sometimes I feel like God gives, he takes away. And he gave me all the chances in the world. I'm talking about every chance. And, you know, after a while, he's like, yo, yeah, you ready now, but you blew it. So, you know, you go through it for a while. I went through depression and all that shit. And even training Shawn Porter, I was Kenny Porter's assistant to training him when he fought for Devin Alexander. And I can remember doing the interview. I can remember we went to New York. Paulie Malignaggi fought Zab Judah at Barclays Arena. I think it was the first fight at Barclays, but they fought, and then it was called the Battle of Brooklyn. And then Shawn fought Devin. And I can remember being in Floyd's jump for camp, seeing everybody, and they're like, hold on, you coaching? Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And then it's like I got to the fight for the press conferences, and Amir Khan sat down. Amir's like, yo, what are you doing? Like, you coaching? Like, what's up? I'm like, yeah, bro, it's over. I tore my shoulder. I can't come back from it. And he's like, yo, no way. Like, it's impossible. Not this early. It was what it was. So it was kind of hard to accept it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. And I was actually going to ask you about that, because if I believe that was your first coaching role, coaching Shawn Porter. And what was that like? Because it was for a world title. What was that like going into the fight and everything? How was that for you?
I mean, it was big. It was a blessing. I mean, anytime you can come on board and be a part of something big like that, it's always good. Like, I had a close relationship with Shawn and Kenny. I've known them for a long time. They're from Akron, Ohio, right by Cleveland. So seeing Shawn grow up, me and Kenny were close. You know what I mean? And when Shawn turned pro, Kenny would come out and see me at Wild Card, and Shawn pretty much grew up his whole pro career in Wild Card with me too. So it was like we sparred all the time. I knew him well, and it was just like I said, it was a great experience, man. Like to get to be a part of something so big. It was short-lived. It was only for that fight. I just wasn't ready for the role. You know what I mean? And it just was what it was. It was definitely a blessing.
I gotta ask you, Rashad. I know you only work with Shawn for one fight, but in my opinion, in the 147-pound division, I'm a big boxing guy, huge. I mean, I'll talk about the straw weights, but in 147, Shawn Porter is a hard guy to beat, and he's a hard guy to look good against, right? Like if you beat him, it's a hard night at the office to beat. What makes Shawn Porter just so difficult to fight altogether, in your opinion?
Will, determination, and skill, man. Like he like Shawn is a mixture of Shawn's first and foremost, he's one of the best guys you will ever meet. I'm talking about one of the nicest, I can't call him a kid anymore, he's a grown man, but one of the nicest guys you will ever meet. And I mean, in the ring, he's just an animal. Like he just no mercy. You know what I mean? Like he's everybody, a lot of people don't like his style. He's just tough. He's a tough, hard-nosed kid. Like, he knows how to box. Like, it doesn't look as pretty as some other slick fighters.
Mm-hmm.
He knows how to box. He knows his way around the ring, 100%. He's just a roughhouse. You know what I mean? He's a guy that can box, can bang, and he's so physically strong, and his will and determination is just, it's on another level. It's hard to match that. You know what I mean? Like, that's what makes him so special. He's just one of the grittiest fighters you'll ever see, and he does whatever it takes to win. Not many fighters will actually do that.
Who do you think is the best pound-for-pound boxer in the world right now?
I'm gonna be honest, man. It's so hard for me to say. I really don't. I fell out of love. I'm a big fan of boxing, but the way the politics in boxing are and the way they're doing this shit nowadays, man, you can't even say. Like, I got my guys that I like, but I'm so disappointed in boxing and the way they allow businessmen to come into boxing and ruin the sport. The fighters aren't fighting each other anymore. They're staying away from each other. Everybody's getting rich. I'll fight nobody. You don't even have real superstars in boxing. I mean, so at the end of the day, how can you say anybody but Canelo?
There you go. I wanted to explain to Zach, because he doesn't understand. Like, you can make the same money. Angel Garcia said it best. Danny Garcia's dad. Why would I fight Terrence Crawford for $3 million if I could fight a guy off the street for $3 million? And that's the way the business is right now. We're not getting the best fights. Like in the UFC, the fights you want to see, they happen, right? And in boxing, it's just everyone hides behind promotions and politics, and the best aren't finding the best. I agree with you, Rashad. I think Canelo Alvarez is the best fighter on the planet right now in the squared circle.
His skill is there. Billy Joe Saunders is a hell of a boxer, a hell of a talented fighter. But they haven't kept him busy, hasn't stayed active, and he's not physically strong enough to keep Canelo off his ass. Like, if you told me this 4 years ago, I would have told you, yeah, he's going to give him a run for his money. It's a toss-up. But now, I personally don't see it.
Now, if I may, I was speaking of Billy Joe Saunders. I mean, I know he was meant to fight someone who you know, Demetrius Andrade. How do you think that fight would have gone down if they fought?
Demetrius would have taken him to school.
Really?
Yeah, I truly think so.
Yeah, I said the same thing. I think Andrew's a great boxer. He doesn't have a large fan base because he comes from a small part of the East Coast. He's got a great style, but the promoter doesn't really put the best fights for him. So I feel like he's like in no man's land right now at 168. I want to see him fight another guy. I think him and Jermall Charlo, when Charlo moves up to 68, would be a hell of a fight. I want to see Andrade and Triple G. I want to see Andrade and Canelo. I think those are all great stylistic fights.
I'm going to be honest. Demetrius kind of screwed himself. You know, he's close to me. It's like a little brother to me.
Okay.
You know, he comes out here and trains with me a lot, like when he's out here in L.A. But Demetrius kind of like, he signed with a bad promoter in the beginning, and he hasn't been blessed with the right promotion to really see him excel, and he hasn't stayed active either. And when you do that, I feel like he missed his prime. You get what I'm saying? I feel like he's so talented. He can do so much in there, and he's still going to beat the average fighter. He's going to beat a lot of good fighters. I don't really see anybody. I don't see there's anybody that he can't beat. But at the end of the day, I don't feel like he's gotten to blossom 100% due to the business side of boxing and his contracts. Like, I don't think we ever saw the best of him, but we see a damn good fighter that can beat anybody. I really put him, if you put him against anybody, because of style. He's just, Demetrius, he's such a good boxer. He's long, southpaw, he's so awkward. There's nobody that he can't beat. But like I said, I still tell him this, I still don't think we got to see the full potential Demetrius Andrade we would have seen if he had stayed busy, stayed active. But fighters nowadays don't stay active anymore. Fighters don't fight 3-4 times a year. They don't do it. You know what I mean? They don't. They don't fight 3-4 times a year. They don't build them up. Like, even looking at the Charlos, they fight once, twice a year. Like, you can't be a superstar fighting once. You did that when you were a mega star. Like, guys like Floyd and Pacquiao, they fought. Mike Tyson, they fought. They would even fight 3 times a year. Like, nowadays, these guys are getting too much money to do nothing, and it's ruining boxing. Look at the whole matchroom thing. Like, they can't keep – sorry, it's super packed. They can't keep people busy because at the end of the day, they promised all this money. They promised all this money from the business aspect, from these apps. The same thing that Al Heyman is doing, but they can't deliver to their investors. Why? Because there's no money in it. The money's in the gate. The money's in the TV networks. The money's not in streaming and all this shit like boxing is an old school sport. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's an old school sport. people love going to the fights. They love attending the fights. They love it. It's like a football game. Imagine if you stream football. Nobody's gonna watch that shit. Nobody wants to see that shit. Let the old school owners who know football, let them do it. When they took the real promoters away from boxing and put all these businessmen in here who came up with all these ideas, all he did was come up with ideas to basically fuck investors out of money and be able to patent their own pockets and patent fighters' pockets too. But don't forget, they patent their pockets. They can only patent the fighters' pockets because they patent theirs first. You know what I mean? Like it's all big business. It ain't even about the sport. It's always been business with every sport, but it's become too much of a business. The business is oversaturating the sport to the point where there's no sport left.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's gonna happen with UFC soon.
Wow. We'll get to that in a second, but I see that happened with Mikey Garcia. I feel the same way how you feel about Andrew. I feel about Mikey Garcia. He had to deal with contract issues basically his whole prime. And now Canelo Alvarez has an issue with DAZN and Golden Boy. And I hope that he gets back in the ring because we've lost 2 or 3 Canelo fights, it seems like, through all this.
We did, but we got to see the best of Canelo. Like, I don't think we got to see the best of Mikey Garcia. And I'm going to tell you, Mikey's so fucking talented. I remember watching Mikey. I remember watching Mikey, my last Nationals, 2004 National Pound, Virginia Beach. He fought this kid, Darnell Giles, out of New York. Darnell was slick as shit. And he beat Mikey in that fight. But when you're talking about a war, I think they were like 14, 15. You talking about a war, I watched those 2 kids go toe-to-toe. And I'm talking about Mikey was special back then. But we didn't get to see the best of him because of the same things that you're saying.
So, yeah, I want to ask, so going into, so you've coached Shawn Porter, and I know you had another coaching job with Spencer Fisher, but I really like to talk about Tony Ferguson. If I'm correct, I think your first fight with him was Edson Barboza.
Yep.
During that fight and after that fight, did you really feel like you were part of a team and you could do this for the foreseeable future?
No, I didn't. I'm gonna be honest. Like, when I trained Spencer Fisher, it was I forgot how Spencer Fisher found me somehow, and I trained him, man. That was that. I didn't even go to the fight when I trained him. And with Tony, I went to the fight for the Barboza fight, but I didn't work the corner. And it was, like I said, I still wasn't ready. Like, I didn't want to train Tony. Like, his old management, Paradigm Management, I knew Adi and Sai. Sai used to be my sponsor when he worked for LRG. They were my sponsors when I was a pro. And Adi, I remember Adi started Paradigm, and Adi came to me at the end of my career, like the last 2 years of my career, and wanted to sign me as an agent. But we don't do agents in boxing. But we always stayed cool, and he did a couple, what do you call it? He did a couple sponsorship agreements for me. So we did work together in that aspect. But we just always remained friends. And they came to me and said, hey, we got a fighter. I knew they signed all these contracts to with Strike Force. And they basically inherited all these fighters. So they told me, like, yo, we got a fighter. We really want you to check him out. We show him footage of you. He needs a boxing coach. What do you think? And I'm like, I really don't want to coach. So they came to me again. I told him, okay, well, I'll take a look at him. And it was Tony. Tony came to the gym. We worked. He was such a big fan of boxing, it made it easy. And, we hit it off. And that was that. But the Barboza fight was like, it was kind of like, okay. I didn't think Tony was going to pan out to be what he was, who he is. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I just said, okay, I'm going to teach this kid how to box. He wants to learn how to box. And I like training him. You know what I mean? So that became that. But that Barboza fight was kind of like, I'm looking at him like, you are crazy as fuck. I'm looking at him, and literally I'm just sitting there watching the fight. And I'm watching a guy who I know has some talent, some skill, but I'm watching him mentally break a guy. And you don't see that as much as you do. You don't see that in boxing the way you do in MMA. Like, I'm watching him in the first round, like, literally he's determined to do one thing, and that's break Barboza. And I'm literally looking in Barboza's eyes, because, not being funny, but only a fighter knows this stuff. Like, when a guy's scared, when a guy is looking for a way out, all the signs of it. And I'm looking at Barboza in the first round, and I'm like, yo, this dude, I'm in his eyes, he is scared. Second round, I'm like, oh, he's looking for a way out. I can see it. I can just see his confidence just dropping. And I was, after that fight, I'm just like, yo, this dude is nuts. Like, I love it. This dude is nuts. And that was that.
I can only imagine, like, working out and training with Tony Ferguson and Big Bear. I feel like you wake up in the morning, you walk into the gym, and there's Tony Ferguson in skinny jeans and army boots doing backflips, throwing kettlebells against the wall, blasting heavy metal. Is that the day in the life of working with Tony Ferguson and Big Bear?
Bro, There is no damn. I mean, brother, listen. You just don't know what the fuck is gonna happen. Listen, there is there. This dude does nothing normal. Nothing he does is textbook, should I say?
Okay.
Nothing. I mean, you'll come in one day you hear heavy metal, one day you'll hear rap, one day you'll hear mariachi. Like you don't know what you're in store for. You don't know what he's gonna wear. He may have on dress shoes. He may have on a workout outfit. Like he may be doing. He's gonna invent some kind of workout, man. We used to work out in Orange County, man, at this gym called American Gym. And I've never seen a dude warm up so long. I'm talking about his warm up was a workout. I would time him sometimes. His warm up would be over an hour long. And I'm talking about it was a full on warm up, but it was a full on workout. I'm talking about the shit he used to do. I'm like, yo, you talking about warm up? Like, no, that's a workout. I'm talking about full on. He's drenched in sweat, changed it 2 or 3 times, and then the workout starts. He's just an animal, man. The dude just works hard.
Zach, what do you got? I know you wanted to ask about the boxing versus MMA striking difference.
Yeah, I want to know, because obviously coach Shawn Porter for that one title fight. What's been the biggest adjustment being an MMA coach in terms of striking, in terms of stand-up?
I'm going to be honest. These guys are hard-headed in MMA. They're like, see, there's no precedent for MMA, but there's a precedent for boxing. Like, the bar is set. You know what I mean?
I get
the
you.
bar is set for boxing. It's set. Like, you can't change it. Like, it's already set. The way boxing is, you know, you may take, it's like basketball. Basketball is already set. Football's set. But as time changes, we become more athletic, and the technicality of it is still there, but we become so more athletic. The way that just everything advances, like we can add to things, like we can add attributes with the technique that we already have. And that's the thing with boxing. Like, you teach boxing one way, you know. Now, don't get me wrong, every fighter is different. So you teach fighters differently, but you teach a jab one way. You know what I mean? Well, let me say this. There's so many ways to throw a jab, but you teach that in every aspect. There's one way to throw a right hand, one way to throw an uppercut, one way to throw a hook, but you can add little stuff to certain things and take away. If you see a fighter's more athletic, see a guy's faster, it's just certain things that you do, but it's really only certain ways you can do things. And the thing with MMA is these guys, like, they get with all these coaches who can hold pads that never fucking fought a day in their life.
Right.
And they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And they're teaching these guys shit that's just not right. Now, when I watch now, I don't teach what I don't know. I don't know Muay Thai. I don't know kickboxing. I can't teach that shit. So I teach what I know. All I know is basic balance. And that's with anything. Like, you take the foundation of a house. Without the foundation, you don't have shit. So basic balance is basic balance, no matter what sport you play. You know what I mean? It's balance. Balance is balance. And then from there, I can just teach a guy how to strike. You know what I mean? I can teach you. Right. I can teach you certain things. Now I got to be able to adjust and understand that you have to watch out for more things. So I got to watch the level of ducking I make you do. I got to watch how I'm doing certain things, but at the same time, I can only teach you how to do one thing, and that's striking. But I can teach you with your feet how to evade anything with your feet, just from my footwork being so good with boxing. With MMA, these guys, they get with so many different people, and they just don't have a fucking clue. And then they kind of get stuck in it, and these guys get to create in their own ways. And after that, they wonder why you run into a guy after a while who's pretty textbook, and he just beats the shit out of you because he pretty much worked on the basics and the fundamentals. These guys all need to work on the basics and the fundamentals of striking, because at the end of the day, all MMA is striking once you're standing up. That's it.
That's it.
It's all striking.
It's all striking. Who is the best MMA guy? What guy in the UFC can go into a boxing ring and give a guy, a top 10 guy, not even a world champion, a top 10 guy a run for his money in like an 8-round, 10-round bout?
I'm gonna tell you, I like Kobe.
Really?
But really?
I like him. But you gotta remember, he had a long amateur background. You all don't know that. Kobe. I can't pronounce his last name, but I don't mean no disrespect. I can't pronounce his last name. You know what I'm talking about? No,
Cody Garbrandt, the dude's all tatted up. Speed.
Yeah. I like that little fucker.
Oh, yeah.
He can box his ass. Oh, I got the eyes. He can box his ass off. I'm gonna tell you, that little fucker can box. I like you know who else is a good boxer? Jimmy Rivera.
Ah, the 35er. Yeah.
He's a fucking striking wise. He's a fucking beast. Hands-wise, a lot of these guys can strike. There's a lot of guys that can strike. I'm going to be honest. A lot of guys that can strike. I'm going to tell you something. Justin Gaethje's a hell of a striker. I'm going to tell you that hands down. That fucker, he's a hell of a striker. Like, hands down, he listens to his coach. Like, you know, Trevor Whitman's been a hell of a coach. I remember Trevor as a boxing coach when I used to go. Trevor didn't even know. We messaged talking about it, but after the fight, we ended up DMing one day. But Trevor, I remember Trevor when I was at Olympic Training Center on the U.S. team. I remember Trevor from up there. He had I can't remember the kid's name he had back then because Trevor used to do something with outfits. But I remember Trevor from way back. But yeah, Justin's a hell of a striker. I mean, these guys, all the guys that stick to their basics and listen and work on the fundamentals, they're good strikers, man. You know what I mean? It's a lot of guys that are good strikers, and it's a lot of guys that just go in there and don't know what the fuck they're doing. And then they wonder why they get pummeled every fucking time by a good striker. You know what I mean? You got to work on every aspect of your game. Every aspect. But striking, I feel like, is number one because the guys spend so much time on their feet. And striking can be your kickboxing, your Muay Thai, your boxing. But at the end of the day, it's got to be sharp. It's got to be sharp. Yeah. These guys don't focus on it enough. They just go in there winging it, and it's stupid.
Yeah, Cody Garbrandt, another Midwest kid, Cleveland. I think Gold Gloves. Dude's a savage in the boxing game. Another guy I like from Cleveland is Stipe. Very simple 1-2s, body shots.
Yeah.
It's very fundamentally beautiful. Like it's basic, but it's good. Darren Till, basic, but it's sharp and it's beautiful to watch.
But the fundamentals win every time, man. You can take fundamentals are gonna always beat everything. The basics are always the best. Basics. All it is basics. Basics. Guys fall away from that, and guys don't work on that enough, and then they wonder why they have so many issues. Like with MMA, like especially with the UFC world, you have to be coachable. But these guys are going to too many different coaches. You gotta have a coach that actually has a pedigree and knows what the fuck he's doing. Like I see MMA. You gotta have one, like this is the reality of it. Like in boxing, you don't have 3 or 4 different coaches working on you on pads and working on you with this. You're gonna have 3 or 4 different outlooks of it. You gotta build a team where everybody knows their role and sticks to that. That's it. Those coaches can come together, and at the end of the day, it's not about any coach being bigger than the other. It's about every coach understanding they got one common goal. That's to make that fighter win. So with that being said, these coaches got to stick together and not to learn each other's sport, but sometimes it's like me and Billy will get together and me and Billy will say, okay, Billy will say, look, I like what you did with that. What do you think if this turns into that? I'm like, I don't know anything about that, but I like the foot placement in that. We do this in boxing. He could turn that into that easy just off his feet, just doing that. It's just certain things. I do it with Eddie Bravo. I do it with Ant. Like, we just talk about certain things. Now, you don't get me wrong. Like I said, I just stick to my pay grade. I don't go beyond that. But you got to have coaches that have one common goal. It's not about them. It's about the fighter. If he doesn't win, nothing works. So you got to know your job, stick together, and other coaches can't be doing stuff other coaches. You can't have the coach that does fucking jiu-jitsu holding pads, teach you. No, it's going to be confusion. You can't have the boxing coach trying to hold kicking pads. No, he does not kick. You got to have each guy stick to his job and do what the fuck needs to be done to make that fighter win. That's it.
If I was going to say, speaking of MMA fighters and boxing, what do you think of Conor McGregor? How did you think he performed against Mayweather in the ring?
I'm about to hit the button. You said Conor what?
Yeah, so I said, speaking of MMA fighters and striking, how do you think McGregor did against Mayweather, and where do you rank his boxing skills?
I mean, listen, for MMA, it was good. I think Conor had a boxing background. Him and my buddy Dean Byrne. I got a buddy of mine from Ireland named Dean Byrne who was on the Irish team, man. For the Irish boxing team. We both were trained by Freddie Roach, man. Like, that's my boy. But Conor came up with them and learned how to box. I think Conor's boxing is especially for MMA, Conor's boxing is decent. I think like anybody else, it could be better. But I think he has good striking. He's long, good feet. I mean, but you can't put him against the great Mayweather and judge his skill by that, because it's two different levels. You know what I mean? You're talking about an amateur fighter, basically, with one of the best boxers to ever do it. Probably the best technician that boxing has ever seen. One of the top 3 best technicians boxing's ever seen. So it's kind of hard to gauge that. You know what I mean? Like, then he was so much bigger than Mayweather. So at the end of the day, you got a bigger guy, a physical guy, active guy. Mayweather's retired, not active. I mean, it lasted a while it lasted, but once Mayweather got comfortable, sat down, you saw what happened. You know what I mean? It's just, I think I think all that shit's a joke.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I
Then
think
so be it.
the whole boxing and MMA crossover thing, I think is killing the sport. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah, but
personally it's killing boxing. It's the biggest slap in the face to boxing because boxing is like the oldest, like one of the oldest sports ever. And MMA being a new sport, MMA comes from boxing. It's a mix of all martial arts. So when I hear MMA guys disrespect boxing or boxing guys disrespect MMA, I check it every time. You know what I mean? Especially MMA. MMA guys can never disrespect boxing because what they do derives from boxing. It comes from there. You know what I mean? Like They just add it on to it. So it's a respect amongst both. The top boxer could never get an MMA. He get killed. The top MMA guy could never come into boxing. He'll get killed. There's two different levels, and it should remain that way and always be respected. And I think all the shit that they're doing is just about business. You know what I mean? So it goes back to what we're talking about. Like, that's the biggest mockery to the sport that could ever happen. Like, they're like, oh, well, boxing's dying. Boxing's not dying. They're killing boxing. They've killed boxing. The promoters are killing boxing because of the business aspect and them not making the best fights. Dana White, UFC has basically prevailed the way it has because Dana White controls everything. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't give a fuck about letting his top two fighters fight each other because he wins either way. He owns them both. You know what I mean? He pays them pennies compared to what the fuck he makes from the gate. So he wins. So the promoters now, what they worry about is their fighters losing each other because the media and the writers, they have fucked the game up. The media and the writers have fucked the game up, and they pretty much made it like, well, if you're not undefeated, you're not a good fighter. The writers have done that to boxing. The writers have done that because at the end of the day, if you're a good fighter, you're not a good fighter unless you fight a good fighter. You got to fight somebody. You got to fight the best. Like back in the day, my idols were Gerald McClellan, Sugar Ray Leonard. You know what I mean? I grew up watching as a kid, I used to watch films of Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearns. Those guys fought each other. Alexis Arguello, you know what I mean? Roberto Duran, Aaron Pryor, those guys, they fought each other over and over and over. And you know what? They won, they lost, and they got up off the ass, and they come back, they fight, they fought again. The best fought the best, and they made for the most amazing fights. That's why they will forever go down in history is that. But these promoters, man, they pretty much, promoters that don't know shit about boxing have gotten in because they're good businessmen, and they've gotten in and they basically become con men. They've conned the sport. They robbed the sport. They robbed their investors. They overpay fighters because it pads their pockets, and it leaves us with no good sport. You know what I mean? They fuck us.
Yeah, I agree 100% because it's all about the show and the circus. I mean, look at DAZN. They fell in love with the YouTuber fights. And then the issue with Canelo Alvarez, they didn't find Callum Smith or Billy Joe Saunders a suitable opponent, which that's crazy. That's a unified super middleweight champion and another champion. And they want Canelo to fight Jorge Masvidal or Khabib on DAZN. It doesn't make any sense. Like I agree with you saying. That doesn't make any sense. But that's
you understand why? You understand why? Though,
yeah.
Right? Because he's promised these investors all this money, right?
Yes.
Because he padded his pockets. He's promised these investors. It's kind of common sense, and I don't know why the rest of the world doesn't get it. He's promised these investors all this fucking money. Now, since he promised these investors all this money, he can't deliver with the purses that he's promised the fighters and what he's promised the investors. He can't deliver. So guess what he does? He goes and seeks out people who already have a big fan base. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
They have a big fan base. And with their fan base that they already have, he goes ahead and he puts these fights together because he knows that, hey, this YouTuber has 3 million followers on YouTube or this or that. And to be honest, man, I support hustlers. I love guys who create something and make some of themselves every day. And no disrespect to these YouTubers. And I'm going to be honest, I take that shit personal as fuck. Like all this Jake Paul and Logan Paul. And I'm going to tell you something. And I'm going to say this and I'm going to go on record saying I don't give a fuck who hears it. The Jake Paul guy or Logan Paul is a respectful dude. He's respectful. He comes in fortune. That little Jake Paul, that little cocky piece of shit. I'm going to say this, like, I respect both of them guys for getting in the ring and doing what they do. I respect them a lot because it takes a certain type of guy to get in the ring and do that. Like, I respect the guys. Don't get it twisted. I respect them, but at the same time, you're supposed to respect the sport that you just enter a certain way. The amount of disrespect that Jake Paul shows this sport, that shows boxing, and the amount of shit he talks, especially when I watch him come in the ring with fighters, man, I don't respect it. And it's what they've created and what they've allowed. Like I don't respect that shit. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
And it's so crazy. Like in the wild card days of my era, man, he would have got knocked out coming in the gym.
Mm.
He would have got knocked out coming in wild card back in the day.
Yeah.
If he came in and spawned with some pro fighters, he would have got knocked out.
Rashad. Rashad, can you imagine if Jake Paul walked in and James Toney was sparring? James Toney would have called his ass into the ring and whooped him for 8 rounds.
James Toney would have whooped his ass out. He would have came through the ropes and whooped his ass for being disrespectful.
Talking shit the whole round, beating his ass.
That's what would have happened. James Toney literally would have got out the ring and whooped his ass right there with everybody. Right? But that's what I'm saying. Like but the promoters have created this. You get this kid a platform. You let him fight these fucking dudes that can't fight a lick, and now you give him a fucking WBC belt, and now you got this kid walking around like he's really a fighter. Now, don't get me wrong, but be honest. For a guy that never had any boxing experience, he got a lot of balls, a lot of heart, and he actually ain't bad for a guy with no experience. He's pretty decent. I respect it because look, he trained with my boy Shane Mosley. Like I respect it. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
I respect the fact that guys are not afraid to get in the ring and do what they do. I respect that. It takes a lot of balls to do this, but the amount of disrespect that he shows the sport is what I don't like. Is what I'm trying to say, and it all starts from these platforms because these guys are trying to find ways to make money to basically save their own asses because they didn't got all this money and they can't deliver on their word. Boxing is not a streaming sport. It will never. Boxing is old school. It's not a streaming sport. They killing the sport doing this shit.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like my dad. Sorry, Zach. I'll squeeze this in and we'll go. My dad's Nicaraguan, and he's Arguello, Chocolatito Gonzalez, all that stuff. And it's so hard for him to find streaming. It's a different world.
It's not fair, bro. It's not fair that these guys got to stream and shit like that. It's not fair. Like when I tell you it's not fair, it's not. Like it's boxing is not that kind. No sport is. It's not soccer. Imagine if you had to stream soccer to watch soccer. Imagine what that shit would be like. Yeah. Nobody wants to stream soccer. Like but these guys, like I said, it all goes back to these guys who don't know anything about the sport, but just know about business. They allow them to come in and manipulate the sport like this, and they're killing the sport. And they would do this for any sport if they did this.
Zach, what do you got? I know we got some UFC questions before we let Rashad go.
Yeah, honestly, one more with boxing. I want to know from YouTuber fights to serious pro fights. I've got to know your opinion on Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez.
There you go.
Man, listen, I'm a big Teofimo fan. Lomachenko, I got to see him train a wild card right in the beginning of his career. Like I think Lomachenko was special. His feet was special. Teofimo was a different animal. At first, I said Teofimo was gonna beat him.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm backpedaling on that. I think Teofimo. I don't think he's. I could be wrong. You know what I mean? I like the kid a lot. I think styles make fights. I think for this fight, I think Lomachenko, his boxing IQ is a little too much for him. I think in this one, but I'm gonna tell you something. I truly believe this. I think. Listen to this. You may think I'm crazy. A lot of people do. I don't give a fuck. This is what I feel. Devin Haney beats Lomachenko easy.
Wow.
And I'm going to tell you why. His speed, his athleticism, Lomachenko's never fought a guy like that with that style of fight ever. His speed, his athleticism, his slickness, and his size. He beats Lomachenko easy. I'm talking about takes him to school. Easy. He's just too fast and he's too young. He's too much in his prime. He beats him easy.
See, that's what people are saying about Teofimo, right? Is the power of Teofimo and the size of Teofimo, but
I'm gonna be honest.
That's the full package.
But I'm gonna be honest. Listen to this. I think Teofimo. I think he beats Lomachenko easy. But I also feel like Lomachenko. I feel like Teofimo beats Devin Haney right now.
It's just a styles matchup.
It's the style. It's all styles. I think Devin Haney is that special, and I think Teofimo is that special. I don't think Devin Haney will be able to keep Teofimo off of him for 12 rounds like that. Mm-hmm. I think he can pop if he's got enough speed, but I think they'll kind of be neck and neck when it comes to speed, you know, in that aspect and their athleticism because they're both in their prime. They're both young, you know what I mean? Yeah. They're both super athletic, super everything right now. But I feel like Teofimo power, his determination, his will, I feel like after a while it'll wear Devin down. But I feel like Devin beats Lomachenko easy. And this is what I see right now. I think if Devin continues to blossom, and Devin wants to fight the best. He's a throwback. You know, I know Devin since he was a kid. His dad, Bill, like, I think if they continue to let Devin blossom, I think we'll see another Floyd, but a kid that I think you got me?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
I think Devin will continue to blossom.
Yeah.
But I think we'll see another Floyd Mayweather, but the guy who does not want to duck anybody, the kid who wants to fight everybody. Because he really does want to fight everybody.
Yeah, he's a great 135er. We got Tank coming up as well, and then you got Garcia in that mix. So the 135ers are pretty special.
Tank's too little, man. Too little.
Oh, there it is.
Too little.
Zach's a big Tank Davis guy.
130, 126, he beats everybody. Nobody's touching him.
Okay.
135, them boys a little too big, a little too tall. Little too big, a little too tall. And me personally, I don't feel like Tank's. Like I said, man, I respect all these guys. And you know what I mean? Ain't nothing personal. I'm just going to always speak my opinion. I don't feel like he's as determined and as focused as he once was, you know what I mean, when he was younger. I don't feel like that. So I feel like because of that, I feel like he won't live up to his full potential. I think he has already, don't get me wrong. But like in the sense of the super fight time,
yeah,
I see him coming up short against some of these bigger guys. Like, he just doesn't have the height, man. He doesn't have the height nor the discipline. You can't, like look at Adrian, for instance.
Yeah.
Adrian, to me, Adrian been around me since he was a little kid. Now, I've watched him grow and grow. At the end of the day, the thing with Adrian is, I literally watched Adrian grow, but Adrian didn't live up to his full potential later on because of the discipline. Right. Now, he's achieved so much. Like, the shit he's achieved, how can I ever speak on it? Nobody really can, but at the end of the day, we know what we saw. We saw a guy who could have been super great. We saw a guy that's going to go down in history regardless, but we saw a guy who would have been super great. But what did we see? We saw him making mistakes as far as just his discipline and his focus. That's it. Like, you got to eat, sleep, and shit boxing. I didn't eat, sleep, and shit boxing. That's why I only achieved so much. That's why I fucked up. And I'll be the first to tell you that. If I ate, slept, and shit boxing, 100% I would have been world champion. I get guys to this day come and tell me, you know, you're supposed to be a world champion, right? All the time. And I know it. I know I had the potential to be, but I didn't live it. And until you live it, you're not going to get everything you want out of the sport. You won't. And that's any sport. So I tell all my young athletes, like a guy told me, old guy told me once, he said, you give your all to the sport, and he said, you focus, give it 3-4 years, he said, you'll be a millionaire and live the rest of your life like a champ. He said, but you want to fuck around, have fun, not focus? He said, live your life as a thousandaire.
Damn.
Thank God I had good business sense, though, so I'm going to be all right. You know what I mean?
It's all working out.
Yeah, but it's the truth, though. It's the truth. It's how it goes. You know what I mean? Like, I tell all these young guys, you only get one career, man. Don't hold back. You only going to get one career. The girls ain't going to go nowhere. The partying ain't going nowhere. You do it much better when you're rich in the start. Trust me.
There you go, Zach. Listen, Zach's 21, about to be 21. I'm telling this. I'm a little older than him. I'm telling him don't chase the girls. They'll always be there.
Exactly. They're going to be there, bro. They're going to be there, man. As a matter of fact, when I come to London, I'm going to take you out. We're gonna find you something. You can hang with me in LA. We can kick it in LA.
He's moving to LA in a couple months, so it's gonna be a treat.
Hey, look, I'm downtown. I'll take y'all guys out anytime.
There it is. I gotta ask you, Rashad. You brought up Justin earlier, and then your guy Tony was supposed to fight Khabib. It seems like 152 times, and they've been postponed or canceled, or something crazy has happened. It's the fight that's never happened. I want to hear your thoughts on Khabib versus Justin. Potentially the winner's gonna face Tony, probably, more than likely.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have my fingers crossed. Dana White don't give a fuck about Tony, and that's really what it boils down to. Tony's been fucked every which way. It's so sad. Like, I'm gonna be honest. The fight with him and Justin is the one fight I didn't want for him. But at the end of the day, it's a fight that had to be made. Dana made it where, I mean, look at what happened last time with Poirier. He didn't take the Poirier fight, and then they made him and Max Holloway fight for the interim title. They stripped Tony of the interim title for tripping on a cord, doing media stuff before a fight, tearing his knee, and they stripped him of the title. Yeah. So he knew if he didn't take the fight, they were going to do it again. He was screwed, so they put his back against the wall. Dana White don't give a shit about Tony.
And
you know what I mean?
And it seems like he's going to have to face a Dustin Poirier or a Michael Chandler or some other just high-level fighter to get a true shot at his interim title, there should be a shot at the true champion. He's gonna have to fight a guy who's like a top 2 or 3 guy.
What they say, he's the only guy in the history of UFC who's won 12 consecutive fights and never fought for a world title.
Yeah.
In the history. I mean, come on. We it don't take a rocket scientist to know some fuckery going on in the political game. Like,
Zach,
you know
what else
I mean?
you got? You got anything else for us?
Yeah. I mean, I just want to know. Just want to hear your opinion on it. Looking at Tony, you know, he's got a lot of options for his next fight. If Tony came to you and you have the option for any fight you would choose, what would you pick Tony's next fight to be?
I mean, if it was to me, I wouldn't want anybody but, you know, I wouldn't want anybody but Khabib at this point. I mean, like right now, Tony's been fucked so much in this sport. I would want him to have nothing but the big money fights. Like at the end of the day, like when you try to fight out of love and because of the business of it and the bullshit, they don't give it to you. It's all about one thing, man. We all do it for the love at one point in time, but as you get older, fuck the love. It's about the business side of it. You got to protect yourself and take care of your family and make sure you make enough money off the sport that used you to last you for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? Because you'll never make as much money off your sport as your sport made off you. So at this point, with all the fuckery, Tony deserves nothing but the big fights, man. Like big money fights. Like if he could fight a Khabib or he could fight a Conor McGregor, he deserves it, man. He's been fucked over. It's like, come on, Dana, why you done fuck this kid out of so much, man? He's about to be 37 years old, man. Go ahead. Give him some money. Let him walk away with some money. Make the big fights for him. You fucked him out of a title shot over and over. Let him fight the big fights and at least be able to live his life good at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, that's the least they can do. Like, Tony deserves the big fights, man, because he did everything right and it didn't work. He got fucked doing everything right. So it's like, come on, at some point, where's the humanity in you to be like, you know what? I did fuck him. Come on, Danny, you made enough money. You made enough money off the sport. Quit fucking him. Let him walk away from the game rich. He earned it.
And I think it's gonna get harder and harder as the TV model with the ESPNs going every week. I think it's gonna be harder for superstars to be created because the product is constantly going, right? The show is keeping going on.
It's watered down.
Sorry?
It's watered down.
That's the word I'm looking for. It's watered down. You're not going to get the Connors and the Rondas and the GSPs as much, in my opinion. That's what I think is going to happen.
This shit's fucked up. It's watered down. You know what I mean? Like everything is, we say, once the internet gets a hold of everything, but come on, let's be real with you. Look at what the fuck social media did to the rest of the world, bro. Instagram has fucked us completely as human beings. Like, once the internet gets us, bro, it's over. Game over. This shit is sports as we once knew it are done. The only things that will remain the same are soccer, football, basketball is even changing. But some of those old school sports with the old school owners that have owned the teams forever, they're not changing. But all these sports that they keep switching owners and teams, they're gonna forever change. Just how it is.
Yeah, it's like the new age sport. Like UFC is like a high class sport now. Like judo, and it's like boxing is inner city. MMA is now suburban.
Yeah, it's always been suburban. Though. Most of them kids went to college.
Oh
Most
yeah,
of them got
wrestlers. You're right. Yeah, great point.
Yeah, shit like, and a lot of them too come from the streets too. They come from different shit. Don't get me wrong, but the majority of them, they got backgrounds in karate. They got backgrounds in other sports. The ones who don't have backgrounds in other sports, they come in and they don't last long. They get pummeled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you know, all we can do, bro, instead of complaining about the way things are, all we can do is adjust. You know, the real's gonna say the real. Bullshit gonna always be there. All we can do is adjust and try to live the best we see it. You know what I mean? But we always got to be able to at least see the real from the fake. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
At this point, you know what I mean? For Tony's sake, Dana White's gonna do what Dana White wants to do, and that's padding his pockets. He's gonna always look out for himself. At this point, I just want to see Tony get a fair shot and walk away from the game rich, man. He deserves it. You know what I mean? If he got a title fight, I'll be happy as fuck for him. But at the end of the day, I don't keep my fingers crossed because I'm smart enough to be able to see through the bullshit. If they wanted to give him a title fight, they would have gave it to him a long time ago.
And Connor's handing out these severance packages to Donald Cerrone and offering Diego Sanchez a red panty night. And now Dustin's going to get the charity. I mean, Tony's right up there, man. I mean, if we're doing it, I want to see Tony versus Connor, Tony versus – and I agree with you. There's a reason why he hasn't fought. There's always been situations. And who knows? Only Dana knows. But
it's
Zach –
bullshit.
It's bullshit. Zach,
I know why he's doing it. Basically, from the beginning, Tony's like, look, man, I just like to fight. Tony's not a media guy. He didn't like interviews. Tony just, and he wasn't doing it to be a dick. That's just not who he is. That's not his personality. But that's to his defense. But for Tony to understand, like, it's a business. And when I came on board, just coaching him and becoming a friend to him, you know what I mean, like a brother, like, it's like, come on, bro, you got to play the game. To some point, you got to understand this is a business. You got to play the game. His management told him, everybody told him. But in the beginning, he was just a raw green kid that just wanted to fight. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it wasn't no disrespect to Dana. And I'm like, yo, I don't want to do your shit. It's like, yo, this is just not me. This is not me. I'm not that kind of guy.
Right.
You know, but it backfired on him. So now when he was in Dana's good graces, I guess he didn't play along the way Dana wanted him to. So now this has been Dana's punishment. But come on, man, you punished him enough. Come on, you punished him enough. The dude is marketable. He's marketable. You all haven't marketed him and pushed him the way you should. He's fighting one fucking time a year. Come on, man. One fucking time a year. Like fucking Donald Cerrone fights 1 million times a year. They're going to say, oh, yeah, Donald just takes fights. No, he don't just take fights. Y'all give him certain shit. Tony don't get offered them fights. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. But, you know, every sport's going to have their favorites, you know, and it don't take a rocket scientist to see that shit. And when the guys got on Dana last time, they asked Dana, they said, Dana got mad, did an interview, said, come on, guys, quit bothering about the Tony Ferguson stuff. He's going to get a title. He's going to get a title shot. You guys got to quit badgering me. People only badgering you for a reason because everybody sees it's fucked up. Mm. He should have never had to fight Justin Gaethje.
Yeah. Never.
Like, he should have never – like, Justin Gaethje had no disrespect to him. He had everything to gain and nothing to lose. Nothing to lose.
Got to fight.
He was number 5. How do you go from fucking being number 5 to fighting the guy that's number 1? How do you do that?
Number 1 guy.
Yeah. He had everything, but guess what it is, though? Justin Gaethje is also a young kid that he can market and build up. Tony's on his way out the door.
Yeah.
He deserved more respect than that, bro. How the fuck you gonna put him in with the number 5 guy? Put his back against the wall for an interim title? Like, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. Tony deserved to be protected at some point.
Yeah.
He's fought everybody he had to fight. Eventually, you keep banging out a rock, it's gonna crack. You know what I mean? You keep banging out a rock, it's gonna crack.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just Tony fought too many unnecessary fights.
I agree 100%. And Justin, it's a fair point. He's a very marketable guy in the United States. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. If you really think about it.
Yeah, he is. He is, and he's got a long career ahead of him, and he's talented as fuck. And he definitely would have gotten his turn. He didn't deserve that shot against Tony. Even though he beat him fair and square, he didn't deserve that shot against Tony. That was all Dana White's doing. He didn't do anything to get there. Yeah, he fought certain guys, but he wasn't there yet. He was number 5. He did not deserve to fight the number 1 guy. And to his defense, when he got that call, he rose to the occasion. He took advantage of an opportunity, and that's not his fault. He shouldn't be punished for that because he's that damn good of a fighter. But I'm just saying, at that stage, Tony was already at a level where he shouldn't have fought anybody but the champion. He's earned that spot and held that spot for 3 years in a row. You know what I mean? Like he should not have had to fight. It's not against Justin. He shouldn't have had to fight anybody that wasn't number 1 at that point.
Now, do you think Tony wants to run it back with Justin at some point?
I mean, I think Tony wants to fight. You know what I mean? Tony, it's not personal, but Tony just wants to fight. Yeah. He wants to fight the best. You know what I mean? He wants to fight. Like, he just wants to fight. I mean, he wants to fight. You know, he wants to fight for the sport. Mm-hmm. He wants to fight for the sport. He wants to make money. He wants to fight. He wants to fight.
Awesome.
But I think he definitely would like a rematch. But, you know, he's not stuck on that. Like, that fight happened. He lost it. It is what it is. It's a growing pain, and you just move on. If that fight came about again, he would take it. But I don't think he's necessarily gunning after Justin at all. It's nothing personal. It's business. You know, Justin beat him fair and square. You know, now it's like, okay, let's bring on the next one.
And that's it. That's it, Rashad, dude, Zach, you got something?
Literally one question. It's pretty off topic from fighting, but I've got to know, I want to come to LA soon. And from you, you know, you live in California. I'm asking you, where is the best place to get food in LA? That's what I want to know.
Man, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have one place for you, bro. There's so many places. Really? It depends on what you like. I mean, we got, I'm talking about we got hole in the walls that are good. The best thing I can do for you is this. When you get here, you hit me up. I'm not COVID scared. When you get here, you hit me up. I'll come pick your ass up. All 3 of us, we go out to eat on me. How about that?
And
hold me to that. Hold me to that. Look, I'm always done. All I do is go out to eat and go to hookah bars. That's it. That's all I do.
Hey, that's the life right there, man. That's a lifestyle I'm down for.
Man, I don't do shit. I don't do shit else, man. Anytime y'all guys want to kick them, when you come from London, I swear to God, I come pick you guys up. We go out to eat on me. I'll take you to a couple spots.
Well, Rashad, we got to have you in the studio next time. If you're not COVID scared, we got to have you on the couch next time you're on.
Fuck no, I ain't COVID scared. Let's do it. Tell me when, I'll do it. I'm here for the next. I'm in and out of town a lot. So 2 weeks out of every month, I'm here at my house. Like when I'm here in town, I'm at my house. I'm at the office. I'm always here. I'm always around when I'm here. When I'm gone for 2 weeks, I'm gone. But yeah, I'm here. I'm here for the next 2 weeks. Anytime you guys want me in, I'm in. I'll probably leave in 2 weeks for a week to 2 weeks, and then I'm back again.
I love to see it, but you're not LA born, but you're LA made. Are you a Lakers guy? Are you
Man,
stoked about
come
the
on,
Lakers?
man. I'm a Lakers guy, baby. Look,
there we go.
Hey, listen. That's my excuse for everything. What happened? We won the championship. Hey, look, but see, my family's from LA. My father's and I got family from LA. So
okay,
it's home to me.